Looking to add value to your business? Lennox Live 2024 is perfect for you. Attend HVAC workshops, share ideas, network with Lennox leaders and other dealers, and much more. Visit lennoxlive.com for details. This episode is sponsored by Lennox Careers. Explore opportunities at lennoxcareers.com.
Hi, my name is Danny Fox. I'm managing partner for Greiner Heating, Air, and Electric, and I'm on air.
This is On Air, a Lennox Learning Solutions podcast hosted by Jones and Dave Chatmon.
You can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Dave, that's a quote by Zig Ziglar.
One of the best, man.
Sorry, I didn't pronounce it quite with his southern accent.
You should try it again.
You listen to Zig, this is what happened. I don't know. I'll embarrass myself with that.
I think you can get it.
I thought, Dave, this is an appropriate quote to kick off today's episode.
Yeah.
Because we have an individual with us from Greiner Heating and Air. We're actually recording in front of a live studio audience. It's not a live recording in Dixon, California. And we're here with Danny Fox from Greiner Heating and Air.
Great guest. Great. We had dinner with Danny last night, learned a lot, and cannot wait for today's episode to come out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Absolutely.
So welcome to On Air.
Thank you.
All right. So what we've identified about Danny is that he is all about people, all about building people, making them successful. And I think when you learn a little bit more about his story and about the company that he represents, I think we're gonna see a lot.
I think you're spot on, Joel. Because one of the things we're hearing all the time is, how do we find good people, and how do we grow those good people once we find them? And it's really easy to find somebody that could be working already out in the field of what we do. When you bring them in, sometimes they bring like cancers in or bad thoughts in that you want to keep clear of your business. But you guys are doing a little bit differently, and I think that's really cool for our audience to hear and learn from. But I think you're right, Joel. We should start with who Danny is and how he came through the process, because that's a clearer case of proving what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've been at Greiner now for close to 15 years. I started here as a service technician. I had been with a couple small companies beforehand. Really came from a place of not having much, not really having much of a life. I didn't have the traditional American upbringing. Had a pretty rough life, rough childhood, which I'm sure you hear a lot. I mean, it seems to be a common thing in our trade. So find those guys with a rough life, so you might be able to help them and change them. So I actually got hired here. Kind of funny story. I got hired here at a friend that worked here. He was an installer. He said, "Hey, the company you're working for doesn't have work half the time. You should come work at Greiner. Like, you could do a good job here." And I thought, okay, that sounds great. So I came and applied on a Friday.
What year was that?
Good question. 2008. So I came and applied on a Friday.
Really a tough time to start, right? Or
yeah.
The recession.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. I don't believe in recessions. Those are just, they happen every year as far as I can tell. Anyway, so I came, I interviewed. I was actually the first person ever hired here without the owners present. They were out of town. The service manager and the sales manager at that time decided to hire me, and they were gonna, get the wrath later on. They just hired me anyway, which I was, pretty proud of, pretty privileged. So called my friend, "Hey, guess what? I got a job. I'm going to be working with you." He said, "Hey, guess what? I got fired." And so no. Pretty interesting.
Not part of the plan.
Yeah, not part of the plan. So I ended up hired on a Friday, started on a Tuesday as a service technician. We always had something. We have selling technicians here. In companies previously, I was a selling technician. Smaller companies had to do everything. You diagnose the job, you sell the job, you install the job. I mean, back then I was doing, whole home duct renovations all by myself. Like it was different. So I came here and they were like, "You're not going to be able to sell. You're going to be a technician, and you're going to need to earn the right to sell." I thought, oh man, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, every single week, my service manager, Sean, who is still our service manager here, 22 years, he's been here. I'd go to him and be like, "Hey, what do I do now? I want to sell." So my first year here as a non-selling technician, I set $1 million in tech leads, which was the most ever sold here, ever set here, and just kind of set myself up for, hey, I want the next step. So as I got here, I got really close to Patty and David, the owners. Sorry.
Well, Joe and I were talking about this quite a bit. It's how do we help people understand what they can do down the road and how they open up that questioning, and you even asking the question to the owners and trusting them to guide you in the right way is huge.
Absolutely. There are good people. I mean, they helped me. They become my surrogate parents. They're like the grandparents to my kids. Have brought me on as a partner in this wonderful company, starting as a technician and now being part owner of an amazing organization that's been around for 32 years is a great privilege. And we try to do that for a lot of people. We bring people in who maybe didn't have much, maybe don't have a direction. And we give them a direction. We give them the tools. We give them the training. We give them the skills. We'll send anybody to any training they want to go to. And yeah, we help them along the way. And anybody who comes here and is willing to learn and wants to grow, we're here to help them grow.
Yeah, what a great culture. And, I've heard from a number of different successful business owners in the trade, and they say there's a couple of ingredients that make you great. And one is the culture. And you know it's a great culture when there's individuals that have been here for a long time. They've been here for 15 years, been here for 22 years. You said you have an individual who was the first employee that you hired is still here.
Yeah, the first person Patty Greiner ever hired is Dennis. He's our install manager. So he's been here, we're going on 33 years. He's been here 32 of the 33 years.
Wow. That, Dave, that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, that says a lot.
That says a lot right there about the culture. So what is the secret sauce that makes people want to stay at Greiner and makes you feel like you're a family? What is that?
It is the people. It's, Patty was a registered nurse before she started Greiner. So, nurses are giving, they're loving people. So when you love people, they love you back. When you're loyal to people, they're loyal to you back. When you trust people, they trust you back. So that's what we do from day one. We're going to get you in here. We're going to take care of you. If you need something, I had a guy today, he's one of our installers, only been here a couple months. His brakes are going out on his car. I said, see if you can get it to the Schwab. If you can get it to the Schwab, we're going to pay to get it fixed. Not a big deal. We're going to take care of this guy's brakes. No problem at all. We want him to grow. We want him to become a better installer. We want him to be here for a long time. And that's what we do. People will sometimes need that little bit of help, that little hand up, and that little bit of guidance. A lot of people have never had anybody in their life to guide them.
Not to be said about that. And you talk a little bit about that opportunity. Example of his brakes not working, and you fixing them as a company for him. This helps you show that loyalty back and forth. Here, we're here for you. You're here for us, and we'll grow together. So one of the things we were talking about, Danny, was last night over dinner. Was interesting is you're talking about how important it is to work with those that are not fitting into the culture and making sure you're moving them down the road for the betterment of the company. Is that?
Yeah, no, it's true. When you think about, we have 60 people that work here, and that's 60 families. So that's 60 families that rely on Greiner Heating, Air, and Electric to pay their bills, to pay their mortgage, to put their kids through school. So if we have one person that's not measuring up, that does something to the detriment of the company, it's no longer about that one person. If we just had one employee, well, we'd keep that person. We'd coach the heck out of that person. I'd let them live in my house. It doesn't matter. But we got 60 families. So we cannot let one person destroy the lives of those other 60 families.
It's huge.
Now, with that being said, you do have to take the time to coach that person who's not measuring up, to make sure they're on the right seat of the bus, to make sure you are crystal clear of the expectations. I think, in my opinion and in my experience, when I've seen people have trouble letting somebody go, I think it's because internally they know they haven't been clear with that person. They haven't set clear expectations. That person, if you let somebody go and they don't know why you're letting them go, you need to fix yourself.
Well, Danny, that hits home for me because at my last company, I ran a distribution center. company. And I had somebody I worked with, and I worked with them. And they finally called my office, and I gave them their severance package, and I said, "You're done." And they started crying, and they broke down. They're like, "You should have told me." And I'm like, "I just spent months, maybe a year, coaching you on how to." He goes, "But you were never clear. You never told me I was losing my job."
Absolutely.
And that person left, and I've communicated with that person on and off over time, because that actually made us closer, this whole thing. And they had a very successful career moving on, and very happy they moved on.
That's awesome.
And we did very well with them moving on. But the thing is, I spent nights after nights after nights, myself not sleeping, thinking I was not doing the right things, being clear enough. It taught me a lot of personal lessons about how to be a better leader down the road.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling ever. And if you've never had that feeling and you can avoid having that feeling, listen to, what Joe and Dave and I are saying. Like, don't do that. Be clear with people. Set them up a plan. Say, hey, these are the issues. I need you to fix them. I'm going to meet with you again in 2 weeks, and we're going to see if you fix them or not. And then maybe you give it a month, and then after that month, they'll know. And when you let them go, it won't be a surprise, but you'll have given them the opportunity to fix things.
So we're talking about people, and obviously in a service business, people are your product, right? That is, you're in the people business. I heard you say that earlier. How do you balance between your employees feeling that they are safe, that they don't have to walk on eggshells when they come to work, and yet they're not safe enough that they don't have to perform?
So I'm a fan of just incredibly open and honest communication. So when somebody starts here and we're having that conversation, it's, hey, I'm going to tell you everything straight up. And I want you to tell me everything straight up. And if I'm missing the mark, please tell me. I want to hear it, but I'm going to do the same thing to you. And the key is to do that quickly. So they've been here a week. They did something they weren't supposed to do, whether it was something small. Just go up to them and tell them, hey, you didn't do this. You're supposed to do it like this. Can we fix it next time? Perfect. Done. Over. Now that communication channel is open. And you open that door and you keep that door open the whole time, because they are just people. People are going to make mistakes, but people also want to know. They want to know what they can do to be better, and you can tell them that.
Yeah. So I think there's also a part of that says every employee, every owner, so every person should be thinking about, am I doing my best? And Joe and I kind of talk about this a little bit about getting too comfortable. Yeah. I know when I was a service tech in the field, there was a point where I felt pretty comfortable. Like, I was really good service tech. I did a lot of commercial work. I was in a great spot. I was wanted by other companies. Kind of got I slacked. And as soon as I slacked off, actually my performance slacked off with it.
Absolutely.
And I learned through that, looking back on it, I learned through different issues at the mechanical company I worked for, which they taught me very well. I'm very thankful to start there. You can never let yourself feel like you're secure.
Absolutely.
You have to keep pushing yourself and keep yourself moving forward under pressure.
Yeah, we're also a big fan of personal development here, which really helps that, right? So, if you're working on yourself all the time, we do a lot of things as a company, as a team. Part of our culture, like every February, we do this 5K a day for 30-day challenge. So last year, 36 people in this company participated.
Wow.
For 30 days, 36 people in this company ran our walk to 5K. Things like that start opening you up. They start opening your mind up. You got your blood flowing, you're exercising, you're starting to take care of yourself. Boom, next thing you know, you start to think about, hey, maybe I could do this better. Maybe I could do that better. Whether it's work life or personal life, I want to talk to people about both of them, right? And we are a company full of high achievers and high performers. So, you better be doing some self-development if you're going to make it here. If you're going to stay here and you're going to make it to the top, doing a couple hours a week of self-development is kind of a must. We do training every single week. We do huddles every morning at 7:30 a.m. Every single field person that works at this company has to be in that parking lot at 7:30 a.m. If they're late by 1 second, they have to hula hoop. We have a Greiner cheer. They have to hula hoop, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fun thing, but they know if they're going to be late, they're going to be hula hooping. So we do that every single day. It's hilarious. Some of the guys have gotten a little good at hula hooping, which is
not a good thing or not?
no, that is not a good.
But now they have the now it's 2 cups on their hands.
But those, and then also on top of that, we do for the technicians, we do technician training every single week. Every single Tuesday is technical training. Well, every single Thursday is soft skills training. We really want to make sure that our technicians know they need to be both. You have to be able to go and communicate with the customer. You have to tell them the problems with their systems. You have to come up with solutions, but you also have to be technically sound. So we don't want a technician who can just go in there and sell something and can't fix something. I like to say that every one of our techs can change a compressor. That's really, really important. But I also like to say that every one of our techs could sell a system. That's really important too. So we make the clear distinction by having 2 trainings every single week, and one is for technical and one is for soft skills, because they're both equally important.
I love that. And I'll just comment, coming into your building, walking around, meeting your people, seeing the longevity of folks that have been here, people genuinely like each other here. They're very cordial. They're very open. And it just seems like a great place to work. Like you do have
smiles everywhere.
Smiles everywhere. And you don't always see that in the home service business when people view it as being a tough job or a dirty job. And I just wanted to point out an observation. You talk about Patty, who started the business, and how she came from outside the industry. She was in the medical industry.
Yep.
And just the diversity. I think the foundation of your culture and observation is that it was founded with a diverse thought from the typical industry, and you look different because the foundation of your culture is built on a different perspective than all of your competitors out there, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
And that's carried through, and just Dave, the value of that. I just wanted to point that out. And also I wanted to talk about your growth, because I understand your company has grown over the years and you have this culture. I imagine it probably draws a lot of people into your organization. People probably want to come to work for you. And I imagine it would be difficult to say who you're going to hire, or maybe you have a process if you're busy and someone's there. But would you mind sharing kind of your process of how you hire, how you bring people in to ensure that you bring the right people in that can fit your culture? And how do you determine if someone's applying that they're not the right fit?
Yeah, so, I wish I could say that was a perfect process written out. Patty had a real feeling for people, and I share that. Her and I are very kindred in that. And, when we sit down and we talk to somebody, I'm trying to find out about them. Like, okay, we can figure out the technical side. I can figure out if you know how to answer a phone. We can do all of that. But I want to know about you. What do you do in your free time? What was your favorite day you had at the last company you worked at? That's going to tell me a lot. So I really want to get to know the person as a person. And that's the number one thing. If we have a person come in with a good attitude and a good personality, we can train on the rest of the stuff. We have amazing people here who can train on anything that has anything to do with heating and air, electrical, plumbing. Like, we can do it all. But we can't make somebody show up with a good attitude, right? So that's it. That is number one. Sit down, talk to them, get real. What do you do? What do you do with your free time? What was what was your favorite day?
I want to write that down. That's a very good question to ask.
And another one I really love to ask is, tell me about 2 of your neighbors.
Ooh, wow.
That one is, if we're going to be...
I don't know my neighbors.
You don't know your neighbors.
Think about that. Right?
I know. That probably means you're not going to be a very good technician at Greiner. So that is a really fun question. Sometimes we get some really fun answers, and sometimes we just get stone-faced. They don't know anything about their neighbors, which they're not going to be the person that's going to work.
Now, if they just moved in, that'd be one thing.
Yeah,
if they lived there for a long period, it's like
just moved in. Where did you move from? Gray. What were they? Tell me about
those neighbors
there.
And drill down.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a great question, because I think inclination would be, asking technical questions. Can you get the job done? But you're such a culture-focused organization here that your questions are centered around what kind of person are you?
Yeah.
And that's got to be why you get great people. Would you mind sharing your story about how you were able to create for technicians and kind of what that process was like?
Yeah, so we had heard and always hear all these problems in the industry about, there's not enough technicians, a lot of complaints about that, people saying that is what's holding them back. We never really felt that way. We used to have a process where we would hire people who knew nothing about this industry, and we would start them in our shop. So we have a shop. You guys were out there with a lot of equipment, a lot of parts and pieces and things that need to be moved out and floors that need to be swept. So we used to start people with no experience in the shop. They'd sweep the floors, they'd move parts. We'd start to see, hey, do they have work ethic? What's their personality like? And then we could move them up maybe to what we'd call from there an install floater, like a third man on an install team, maybe then officially an install helper. Then are they going to go lead install, or are they going to come over to the tech side? And that's how we used to do it. It worked very well. We had, actually, you guys met Dylan. He's the manager of our electrical department.
Yeah, great guy.
He started here sweeping the shop probably 14, 15 years ago. So, that way works very well. And then we decided, say about 5 years ago, we decided we wanted to grow. Like, this sounds funny, but before 5 years ago, we did not want to grow.
Yeah.
We actually had a 100% and complete, we were good. We had a great business. We were holding steady, and we were happy with the level of stress. So it was good.
Introducing Build-A-Tech Friends and Family. Work for Lennox or a Lennox dealer? Nominate an aspiring HVAC tech now to be selected for a free 3-week summer training. Email training@lennox.com with friends and family in the subject line for more details. Lennox Learning Solutions, working to address the tech shortage.
About 5 years ago, I was kind of released to grow, and we decided to grow, which
You were on a leash, and it was. We get it now.
like release the Kraken. Let's go.
It's scary.
So,
It's scary because things go wrong quickly when you grow.
it is. Things can go wrong quickly. So, but if you have the right people and you have the right, backstops in place, you can do fine. So we decided we want to grow. And I said, we got to grow. We got to hire techs. We need a lot of techs, and we need them fast. So I sat down with David, one of the owners, who was actually a technical writer for Rinnai. He worked at the Sears Towers, the head for Sears Home Maintenance.
Wow.
Very, very intelligent. And we also have our service manager, Sean, that I said has been here for 22 years. We have our service coach, Jacob, who was an Oakland Police Department police officer for a while, and, great guy. So all four of us sat down and we said, we're going to create a curriculum. We're going to make techs. So we created a curriculum, a 3-week in-classroom training plan that then transferred to a 3-week field training plan. And our goal was, so we set a goal from the beginning. We want to hire 10 people. We're going to pay them to learn. But at the end of the 3 weeks in the classroom, we only want 3 of those 10 to pass. We wanted to make a very, very tough class. Mm-hmm. So, we immediately, we knew that people would want to come to work if we gave them a career. So we put out an ad saying that, hey, you want to come learn HVAC? We can teach you. We're going to pay you $20 an hour to learn. Come in and talk to us. They came in and talked to us. I sat right across the same table we're at. I let every one of those people know we're hiring 10 and only 3 are going to make it. So be sure you're ready. This will be one of the hardest 3 weeks you've ever had in your life. So we had 300 applicants within about 2 days.
Always amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. It was awesome. And we had some amazing people come through here that we didn't put in the class. So we ended up with 10. We had to narrow it down to 10, and amazing people from all different backgrounds. We had guys that were working for Tesla before they came here. We had one of the guys who actually is one of the guys who made it, has a doctorate degree in philosophy. So just majorly cool people we had. And so we put them through this 3-week, It was 3 hell weeks. There were quizzes every single day. There were tests every single week. And we weren't just testing and quizzing on the technical. We're also testing and quizzing on the soft skills. So we have a service call for our service technician that is laid out. It's got 11 steps and you have to do it the same way every single time. So they had to role play that as part of the quizzes. We had a whole grading system we grade them on. And we had have guest people come in to actually judge them. So it wasn't just us as the instructors. We couldn't just say, hey, this is my favorite guy, I'm going to let him pass. So we had guest people come in and judge and grade these guys. So at the end of this 3 weeks, we actually ended up with 4. So 4 people made it through. We didn't quite hit our goal. We were fine. It was actually really tough to narrow it down to 4. But it was tough. It was a very tough 3 weeks. There was all kinds of rules in there. You could only be tardy twice in this 3 weeks, and that's tardy in the morning, tardy after a break, tardy after lunch, 2 times, and you're out.
Wow.
Like, for these 3 weeks, I need you to be 100%. This is all you do. One of the guys who actually did make it through had a wedding during those 3 weeks, his own wedding. He got married on Saturday, came back to class on Monday. Couldn't go do anything after the wedding, but he said, you know what, this is what I want to do.
This could be my future, right?
This could be my future. This is worth it to me. So yeah, we ended up with 4, and then those 4 we put into the 3-week field training program. A couple of them needed a little more than 3 weeks. They went 5-6 weeks in the field, and then we let them loose right at the beginning of summer. And they are all amazing technicians. They have learned so much, technical side, soft skills side. They're wonderful with people. They get amazing reviews, online reviews, written in reviews. We got these new guys and customers we've had for 10 years calling and saying, hey, I only want Nick, or I only want Daniel, or, you know, one of these new guys. We're like, wow, you guys are doing a great job. And it's pretty cool, because these guys have no bad habits. Yeah. They haven't been with other companies who have maybe steered them in the wrong direction, or a direction that maybe not wrong, just not our way. So they only know how to do things our way. And it's really fun to watch, and it's fun to watch them grow.
So Joe, what I'm really hearing here is, we tend to just like, get heartbeat, come on, we'll teach you everything. You know, but what Danny's saying is, we want to make sure you're committed to our commitment to you, so we can make you the best you can be, which makes our company even stronger.
Well, and it all begins with your commitment to people and your commitment to saying, I'm going to put in what it takes. You build your own technician.
Yeah.
And you were able to have the team to put that together. Would say, not everyone listening maybe has the ability to put their own curriculum together, but there's a lot of great resources like Build-A-Tech from Learning Solutions.
Sure,
folks use it. Yeah, they could take the gist of what you're doing and hire for the right people and make the investment to send them to something like Build-A-Tech, and then narrow it down when they get through, and ask for the tardy record, and ask for how they do.
It's also a very interesting point that they committed to 10 people, paid them $20 an hour for 3 weeks.
Big commitment.
To whittle it down to 3 or 4,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that is a upfront financial commitment to make sure you can find the best person. I mean, so then that's just unheard of.
Oh yeah, you do. You got to be ready, because we also got 3 techs coming. We knew we had 3 techs coming, so when we started this, we always had to buy 3 vans. We have to wrap 3 vans. We also have to have tools for 10 technicians while we're training them. So yeah, there's a giant expense, but what is it worth? Like, what does one really good technician bring in annually?
Wow, yeah.
Like, it's worth it.
And they having that, I bet those individuals you brought in are pretty loyal to you, because you brought them to this industry. It's almost like if Simon Cowell is listening to this, I could see a reality show of, so you think you can tech.
Yeah.
No, man, this could be a whole show. It's an elimination. Can you hula hoop?
Oh, can you hula hoop?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's important.
What other talents do you have?
Fake it.
Yeah. So I'd like to transition. The conversation with you is really all about people, and you rightfully so. We've talked a lot about the people, the culture here, the people that work here. But ultimately, I believe in a quote from Drucker, who said, "Every business exists to create a customer."
Yeah.
And one of the things impressive that I've learned about your company is your customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
I mean, you showed me a book that's like very thick book full of handwritten notes.
It's so impressive.
From your customers. And in a digital age, I know reviews are important, but you're committed to these handwritten reviews that you get from your customers. So powerful for someone to sit down and handwrite a note. And you just have a huge book of this from customers. And, could we talk a little bit? So everything that you're building in your people and the culture that you're building here is all for a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's for helping these people that are your customers. So maybe a good place to start is you have a tagline at Greiner and you have a logo.
Yes.
Which kind of fits into this. Could you share what that is?
Yeah, the tagline is your local guys and gals. And our logo is a man and a woman shaped as a wrench. Shout out to Dan Antonelli and Kick Charge Creative. They help us make this. We're actually in the process of this rebrand. But this logo is what we're about. We're about people. So we're the local guys and gals out there helping people, and the customers are people. It is just people, right? It's customer service. At the end of the day, I like to say we have the best customer service of any business around us. It doesn't matter if it's heating and air. What it is doesn't matter. It's about that customer service. So yes, our people go into a home and treat people like they would treat their mother, like they would treat their grandmother. And they treat that home like they would treat their mother's home. We decided to buck the trend a little bit. On the technical side of things, a lot of people believe that you have to do one-day installs. You can only do one-day installs. That's the only way you can be successful. Well, we thought, no, that's stupid, because the housing stock in our area is messed up. And I think it's probably that way in a lot of parts of the country. A lot of people I know around the country tell me the same thing. So if you're just going out and ripping out boxes and putting in new boxes.
What you mean by that, Danny, is ductwork could be improperly sized.
Exactly.
Or the electrical's not up to code or whatever.
Exactly. So you know that, and you're in a totally different part of the country than I am, and I'm sure the same thing happens where you are.
Yep.
So if we're just going to go out there and rip out the boxes and put in 2 new boxes, how am I doing the right thing for the customer? How am I providing great customer service? Did they buy the 17 SEER? Did they buy the 25 SEER? It doesn't really matter if you put it on bad ductwork.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if the condensate system's not set up correctly. So we decided that, hey, we're not going to push one-day jobs. We're going to push high-quality jobs. If it takes 1 day, great. If it takes 2 days, great. We did something a little different, and I think by now all our competitors know, so I'm not, no problem sharing it here. Every single installation we do in our price book, there's 2 free airflow upgrades included in that installation. So at a minimum, I need my guys to go out there and make sure that the return's sized properly. Like that has to be. And in our housing stock, that's the number one problem. It's a low-hanging fruit. But to change out a return or add a return, it really starts to hurt you in getting that job done in 1 day. So we said, okay, we're not going to do it. We're going to say we do 2 free airflow upgrades every time. We're going to put this equipment in, we're going to put it in right. Because that's how we get that book full of surveys. That's the people that say, hey, this home has never been that comfortable before. This system has never been that quiet before. We never could use our upstairs in the summertime. We've lived here 20 years. Nobody ever told us that this could be fixed. Oh, well, we can fix it. And it's part of the new system you're getting. So great, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
So it is about those people and doing the right thing. And, the other thing we do is people hate the old quote, the customer's always right. I love that quote. Greiner lives by that quote. If a customer calls in and we did something wrong and we fix it. If the customer calls in and thinks we did something wrong and we fix it. Because it's what they think that matters. It's their perception.
Such a great point.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm sitting here listening to Danny and I'm thinking to myself, this may sound a little crazy, but I'm thinking to myself, Dave Lennox, back in the very start of this thing 129 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years
the
ago.
pointers for furnacemen.
Think about it. He was an inventor. He wasn't a furnace guy. He was an inventor, and he was inventing things to solve problems. He created the first furnace to solve the problem of heating a home without people dying, right?
Good thing.
So when you think about, if he could be here right now hearing what you're saying, I think he would be extremely happy.
It's interesting about these reviews and the correlation between reviews and betterment of people's homes. Because if you think about when people call for a new system, it's usually when their system is out, right? And so they had a box, it was blowing on a duct system. And if all you do is replace that box with a newer box, and I'm biased, but I think Lennox makes the best box. But even you put a great high efficient Lennox system in, essentially they basically have what they had before. Maybe the equipment itself is a little quieter. Maybe it's more efficient, and so they might see a lower electric bill. But if you put it on that same duct system that was causing them problems before, they're essentially getting the same thing. Where we see at Lennox, the highest reviews are on things like our pure air system, because that's something different than they had before. If they didn't have a pure air system before, you put in a new system, or our thermostats. It's like, well, I had an old Mercury stat, now I've got this S40, it's incredible. Like, those are where we get the most reviews, because that's where they saw the biggest difference.
Yes.
And so for you to tackle ductwork is where they're going to notice the difference, and a lot of your competitors don't. My question is going to be around, how do you do it? Because I've talked to many contractors about this, and they look at the gross profit dollar per day, and when you get into day 2, it just eats up margins, because you can be so much more profitable to go replace an equipment in a day. And yet you guys seem like a very profitable, successful company.
Twice as many techs. Labor is not that expensive. We all lie to ourselves and say labor is the biggest cost. It's not. So if you're I'm proud to say we pay the most. We pay the most. And every day, every week, every month, it's how do we pay our guys more? So we pay a lot, and I can tell you labor is not that expensive. So if you're selling the right product and you keep your margins tight, hire a few more crews so you can go a day and a half on an install. There's no reason why you can't.
Charging the right prices and doing the right things.
Yep.
So the process that you do on a home, you actually, did I understand you correctly earlier when you said you do a manual D?
So when we do a complete duct renovation, and that's not all the time, and I don't want your listeners to think that, okay, every single time we change a system, we have to change all the ductwork. Because that's not true, and that would be very tough. And there are people who are successful doing that, so there are successful ways to do that. But when we do a complete duct renovation, we actually do an entire manual design on the house, like they would do in a commercial building on a regular residential home.
You measure airflow out of the registers and making sure it's
absolutely
tampered correctly.
Yeah, if this room needs 300 CFM of air, we're going to sit here, we're going to be like, Dave, Joe, your guest room needs 300 basketballs of air every minute. You're getting 120 right now. Could you see why that might be a problem?
Yep.
And okay, cool, it's a problem. So now we're going to size the system to ensure we get as close to that 300 basketballs of air as we can. We're then going to add dampers to every single supply run so that when we're all done, we can go around with a flow hood and get us right to that 300 basketballs of air. And then if something changes in their life, it's cool because we're future-proofing the home. So you have somebody moves in, maybe grandma moves in, right? And maybe grandma gets really cold. So now we got dampers. We can now make it so there's more air going to grandma's room in the winter time. We're awesome. She's great. So we'll future-proof the home as well. But doing that every single time on a duct job, it changes the game on duct jobs, right? It changes the margin. One-day ductwork installs do not exist here. A duct install is probably going to take us 2 to 3 days. The interesting part about ductwork is we also charge 3 times as much as our competitors. And nobody has a problem with it because they're not talking about any of the things we're talking about.
Which probably also confident in guaranteeing your result.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's one thing I think that Joe and I were talking about this morning is getting to know you a little bit more, Danny, is the confidence that comes off. It's not ego, it's not arrogance, it's confidence. And I think people need to hear that confidence so they can move forward in their careers or their purchasing with you guys or whatever. But it's so important.
Yeah, it's the people you have around you. It's and it's not. And thank you for that. I appreciate that because I'm glad that it comes off like that because it's not ego. I have a wonderful team around me that will make the things happen that we promise. It's us working with Lennox. We know that working with Lennox, we make the promises on these systems. It's going to work out. Elias is in the room. He's our district manager. If I have an issue with the Lennox system, I don't have to worry about it.
He's got your
I'm going to call Elias. If he's got to send me a brand new unit, he's going to send me a brand new unit. We're not going to argue about it for 3 months. I'm not going to have to tell the customer I'm waiting on Linux. I'm actually probably just going to change the unit and tell Elias later, and he's going to take care of me.
Well, we did take a company-wide vote.
Yeah.
And it was positive 100% that he's the nicest guy on our team, in our entire company. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a one wonderful guy. I think so. I think that's great. So, but that's what it is. It's having the team behind you, right? It's having an install manager that's been here for over 30 years. It's having Patty and David who have my back through all of this. It's having a service manager who's been here 22 years. It's having technicians who will go to the ends of the earth for us because we'll go to the ends of the earth for them.
That's the culture from all the way top down.
Yep.
Amazing. And
So very interesting about how you recruit your people, the culture that you have, the confidence that you have in the people, and what you deliver is you're seeing the results. Before we go into close, I'd like to ask you a little bit about your, before you get to the install of the job for your customers, the process there. You mentioned earlier that you started as a selling technician, and I think you have a different terminology than comfort advisors. So could you share a little bit about, do your technicians still sell?
Yeah, so we have 15 technicians, and 5 of them are selling technicians. We also have 2 design specialists. So we call all of the people who sell equipment design specialists. So that is their job. Their job is to go in there and design that system to figure out what needs to be done.
I really like that term.
I really do too, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
And we feel that sets us apart, but it also kind of sets the tone of what we expect from them. If they put on the proposal, get more air to this room, no, it doesn't go. You need to figure that out. I need to know what that means. I need to go back to that house and figure it out if that's what you need to do. And so they know we have this set up. So their job is to go into the home. First of all, talk with the client, talk with the customer, get to know the customer, get to figure out what's going on in their home, but then also use basic science and math, because we all know we go into a home and they don't necessarily want to buy that new system, right? It can be a grudge purchase. We can fix that. We can show them how they're going to save money from month 1. There's a lot of amazing ways you can fix that grudge purchase, but you have to use science and math when you go into the home, because they may not tell you the problems. They might not tell you that their return's undersized. First of all, they don't know. Secondly, they think that houses are supposed to be uncomfortable because their house is uncomfortable and their mom's house is uncomfortable, and it gets 110 degrees in the Sacramento Valley and everybody's uncomfortable. Well, no, my upstairs is 68 all summer. I like it cold when I sleep, and it's not a problem. So we have to go through there and we have to look at the home. We have to look at the system. Our design specialists have to design that system to make that home comfortable, and then sit down with the customer and go over all the things they found. Which is why actually the 2 airflow upgrade things really work, because first I'm going to sit down, I'm going to tell you all the problems, I'm going to tell you the solutions, and then I'm going to tell you that it's cool because whatever system we do is going to come with them. And then we get into equipment and wonderful signature series and elite series and go down that path.
Very, very cool. And so that you design it, I love how you call them design specialists, because kind of a negative reputation that some comfort advisors or salespeople get in the industry is that all they do is they sell the job and then they come back, the paperwork's incomplete, it doesn't tell everything they're going to do, and it's problematic for the installers. It seems like you set the expectation that you're not there just to sell a system, you're there to design the system.
Absolutely.
Spec it out and then hand it over to the install.
Well, and the interesting part is that they do know their math. I mean, everybody we have, all of our selling techs are actually technicians. Our design specialists were technicians. They know what they're doing. We don't want them in somebody's home if they don't know what they're doing. That's going to cause a problem.
Yeah. Well, hey, Joe, this has been fantastic. I would like to see Danny, what would you like to leave our listeners? Any thoughts you'd like to leave behind?
Man, I think if you're going to lead a team, lead yourself. Lead yourself first. And you also have to be a good follower to be a good leader. So, if there's people in your life that you're having trouble following that are actually trying to get you on the right path, let down that ego and follow. And then take care of yourself, lead yourself, get up in the morning, do the hard stuff. you want your team to do something hard, you better be willing to do it yourself.
Fantastic.
Very.
Joe, I can't wait for this to air so we can listen to it several times.
Yeah, I think it's going to benefit a lot of people. I appreciate the words. This is your company's an inspiration, and I think you guys have built the right culture. You're centered and focused around people. I think there's a lot of people that could learn from.
Thanks for being on air.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was great.
On Air is hosted by Joe Jones and Dave Chatmon. Email your questions and comments for Joe and Dave to onair@lennox.com and check out our new bonus content. The On Air podcast is a production of Lennox Learning Solutions. Recording, mixing, and editing by Garrett Hicks. Additional editing by Hunter Stein. Music by Chad Mathern. By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the entire contents of this podcast are the property of Lennox International Incorporated or one of its affiliates, collectively Lennox, and are protected under U.S. and international copyright and trademark laws. Except as otherwise provided herein, your use of this podcast and the information contained in the podcast are for personal or other educational purposes only. No other use, including without limitation, reproduction, retransmission, or editing of this podcast may be made without the prior written consent of Lennox. All information made available on this podcast is for general informational purposes only, and any reliance on such information is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional advice. By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that Lennox makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on this podcast does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by Lennox employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of Lennox. Lennox expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use or inability to use this podcast or the information presented in this podcast.